there's beauty in imperfection. If we all looked like Barbie, then we would all be homogenous and there would be no standard of beauty.
That's such a beautiful thing to think about, especially in the age and day of DEI. I find that people misunderstand the equity side of it and they look to everyone's equal. As far as I understand, I'm the only one that has this. Nobody is equal to me. Everybody is different. And so I think equity of opportunity is important through what you're discussing, which is, can we appreciate our differences? I like to say DAI. I love diversity. I love to appreciate our differences in that diversity. And everyone should be included because we're all one.
All right, I'm joined today by Dave Meltzer. I'm so honored and thrilled to have him. So I always begin the intro with labels. So you're a busy guy, one of the busiest guys I know. You are a founder of Sports One Marketing. You're a lawyer, which I love that label. You're a husband, a father, a son, which that's how one of the ways that you and I first got acquainted was talking about your mother. You're a speaker, an author, a coach, a business coach, podcaster. You're Jewish. You're a man of faith. Did I miss any of your labels?
I am a philanthropist. So
a philanthropist, yes, that's a very important one. So I am incredibly honored that you would agree to join me on my podcast.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. In my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy, it's important to have conversations to help tell the stories and teach the lessons to help other people get to where they want to be.
Well, happiness is where I want to start. You and your mom, because you and I, at least whether you remember it or not, you and I bonded over our mothers. But you are known for saying that your mother changed your life with a question, a 3-word question. Are you happy? So I want to know how you define happiness.
Great question. And it took me years to have a definite definition of happiness. And today, it's the ability to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my own potential. And it includes learning to love what you don't like or love about what you love. And that was a subtle nuance that I've added to the enjoyment of consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. To be able to enjoy what you don't like or love about what you love is one of the secret sauces, not only of happiness, but it also is a cheat code. It makes life easy. And so for me, I learned in my first love, which was football, to learn to love what I didn't love or like about being a second string.
What did you not like about football?
Well, number one, when I went to college, I didn't like not playing. I didn't like the fact that I wasn't the best one anymore. I didn't like the practices and the taping and the filmings, especially because I wasn't going to play. And so learning to love those behaviors about what I love, and then to carry that on to the bigger and more important things. Like, I think one of the secret sauces in being married 28 years, as much as I love my mom, my wife is right there, equal, or if not even ahead of that idea of learning to love what I don't like or love about my wife.
Yeah.
Or my kids. I adore my kids. But any parent that tells you they love or like everything about their kids, they're lying.
But isn't that really just a broader life lesson? The way I would say it is that there's beauty in imperfection. That if we all looked like Barbie, then we would all be homogenous and there would be no standard of beauty. So, if we didn't appreciate the imperfections in anything, then there would not be that appreciation of the good versus the bad, or the sunshine versus the rain, or, there wouldn't be that appreciation.
That's such a beautiful thing to think about, especially in the age and day of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. I find that people misunderstand the equity side of it and they look to everyone's equal. Well, as far as I understand in my faith, I'm the only one that has this. So nobody is equal to me. Everybody is different. And so I think equity of opportunity is important through what you're discussing, which is, can we appreciate our differences? Can we appreciate what others may, through contrast or context, see an appreciation of these differences? So I like to say DAI. I love diversity. I love to appreciate our differences in that diversity. And everyone should be included because we're all one.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, I I actually just have a life perspective that we should appreciate. I call it the imperfections, but I actually think that is the perfection.
Yes.
Because if we all were the same, it would just be so boring. I mean, I happen to be a little munchkin, a 5'1" little munchkin. I'm not a 5'7" Elena Cardone,
Yeah.
and but if we all looked like Elena Cardone, then we would all be homogenous, and she wouldn't be the Amazon glory that she is, or whatever. So
I love that example.
I think that we just do have to learn to appreciate all of those things, whether it's the beauty of each other or the beauty in whatever we're doing.
So true.
And that I love your perspective on how that makes us appreciate the happiness.
Yeah, it derives happiness in our perspective. See, in a man of faith, understanding we're all commanders, which, in the 10 commandments, they're not called the 10 demandments. No one's demanding, it's working with. And so in that essence of working with one another, being of one, it's really essential that we are together as one. And what are we doing to interfere with it is really my perspective of how can I help people spend minutes and moments interfering with their potential.
Yeah. So you also are known for saying money doesn't buy happiness, but it allows you to shop.
Yeah, I stole that. I stole that from someone, so I apologize, but I loved it the first time I heard it 20 years ago.
I love that too. I mean, I love to shop.
Good.
So there's that,
Yeah, I got a bunch of friends for you.
But how do you reconcile the tension between having impact and having income without losing your soul and without losing your ambition? I mean, there's a balance in those things.
I believe there's a harmony. I think balance is overstated and overrated. And so what I look for is a harmony in abundance. And there's an infinite loop of giving that a lot of people don't realize. So most people believe the more you give, the more you receive. And most of those people, like my mom, believe the more she gave, the more she received, but she always received less than she gave. And so it's a zero-sum game that so many generous, kind people play. Our first responders, teachers, moms,
Right.
Just to name a few. They give everything and they don't receive. And they end up with zero and wonder why. And so what I try to do within the context of your question is say, well, give more, but elevate your awareness to all that you're given and be worthy of receiving it, knowing there's more than enough of everything for everyone, that you can actually ask for more than more. So my infinite loop isn't giving more to receive, because that's a zero-sum game. That's a trade and negotiation, a quid pro quo, to bring out my title as a recovering lawyer. But more importantly, I believe if we could instill in this harmony of an infinite loop of giving, the idea that I'm going to give everything I have because I have faith. I'm going to have a positive perspective to all that I'm given, even when there's no evidence or the evidence is contrary that I'm being given anything other than punishment. But even more importantly, when I give more, I'm given more, but I now receive more. And a lot of people won't receive. And so now I'm giving more, being given more, receive more. Now I ask for more than more. Now I'm capable of what? Giving more than more, being given more than more, receive
Right.
more than more, ask for more than more than more. I'm going to end up when I'm 81 with more than enough of everything for everyone.
I think a lot of people, though, see a tension between giving and capitalism, or giving and receiving.
Mm-hmm.
They see those as being counter opposites.
Of course.
They see capitalism, or receiving from the universe, receiving monetarily from the universe, as being something that doesn't equate to being generous or philanthropic. What do you say to that?
So you don't know math. If I'm going to have true impact, if everything I have, like Warren Buffett, is going to go to be of service and of value to other people, then I would want the people that, like I said, money allows you to shop. I want to give all the money to the people that are shopping for the right things, for the right reasons, building villages and hospitals and helping with mental health and anything else. If you think about the impact that someone has, you can say what you want about Musk or Bezos or Warren Buffett. They're going to have far more impact than I am. When you give $10 billion to our environment, that's a tremendous amount of impact. So
Sure.
I think the bigger question is, are the people who are best suited to shop with that money, making the money. And so I try to support the companies, the leaders that are shopping for the right things for the right reason so that they get my money so they can help more people make more money, help more people, and have more fun.
Right. But you don't have to take a vow of poverty to do that.
You know, Mother Teresa, look this up. This is so interesting because a lot of people don't realize. I believe Mother Teresa is one of the most enlightened human beings that have walked the earth. She's known as a minimalist. She is also known as a completely abundant person that would give the shirt off her back. And most people think she was one of the kindest, nicest people to walk. Google how much money she had when she died.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I've never done that.
And I can tell you if you
Tell
like
me the
this
answer.
one,
Yeah, tell me the answer.
$112 million.
Wow.
So if you're mission driven, if you have faith and you're mission driven, the commissions are going to follow. God's going to give Mother Teresa everything she needed to help other people. And we live in a human experience defined by the time your heart starts till it stops, defined by an incremental use of 24 hours. But money is an energy for the linear constructs of human experience. And the people who have more money have a potential, not for sure, but people who have more money have the potential of helping more people.
Do you think that people who have more money who don't use it for good also have the potential for a bigger fall?
Absolutely. So, those people that buy stuff they don't need to impress people they don't like, eventually the truth comes out. And so good behaviors and bad behaviors are defined by the person that is behaving aligned with where they want to be or better. So my behaviors that are good may be bad behaviors for you depending on where we want to be. And so within the context of making money, these behaviors, some people may see as good behaviors, but I don't want to be where those people are. I actually have been there. I used to be and buy a bunch of stuff I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. And I ended up empty. I almost ended up dead. But instead, I became mission driven and more commissions followed for the right reasons, for the right people in the right time. And there's a lot more abundance and happiness that is involved in the passion, purpose, and profitability that way.
So you've alluded to my next direction. You say, this is probably my favorite of your quotes. You're either humble or you're about to be.
That's my favorite quote.
I think whenever you said that, the first time I heard you say that in person, you hit me in the gut when you said that.
First time I heard it, it dropped me to my knees. And It doesn't stop. Every time I think that I'm past that quote, it comes back. And I know you and I had a discussion about my mom and she passed. And I remember leaving the last time I saw my mom. I was blessed to have a really great encounter with my mom because she remembered me. She was in hospice, remembered me. We had a great conversation. One of my favorite things that we talked about, I said, Mom, you told me that I was going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. And I just had received an honorary doctorate at the time. And
so you were all three.
I told her, Mom, I did it. I'm all three. I'm a doctor, a lawyer, a failure. And she said, I'm so proud of you, especially for being such a good failure. But when I left, my wife said, are you going to be okay? And I said, without humility, oh, I'm going to be fine. My dad had passed. What a perfect ending, getting to say goodbye like that, having her tell me she's proud of me and she loves me, and I'm going to be fine. Of course, the next day she passed. I wasn't fine. I remember crying on my knees in my shower when I found out, thinking to myself, gosh, I'm either humble or I'm about to be.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience with my mother. And you and I briefly touched about it, but I was very grateful to be able to be there with my mother when she passed. And I actually have a core belief that one of the jobs of a child is to escort your parents right up to the pearly gates. It's a tough job.
Yeah.
It may be the toughest job, but I was there with my mother. She was on hospice at home, and she'd had lung cancer. She was a 40-year smoker and had lung cancer. It had gone away, came right back, and went straight to her brain. And from the time she was diagnosed till the time she passed was about 7 months. But I was fortunate to be able to be there at her side the moment she passed. Tough. It was horrible. Not a moment, not one of those moments of life you look forward to or want to live again. But I don't think I would trade that moment for anything.
Mm.
And at the very end, she kind of went through this time where she would come into being conscious is the only word I know how to say it. And then there were other times where she was just kind of not very lucid. But the times when she was conscious, it was very clear to me that there was something beyond where we're at.
Yes.
And it made me more spiritual.
Mm.
But being there at her side whenever she passed over was just such an important, impactful memory for me that I could take with me that, I had done my job as a daughter. And, it was horrible. It was difficult. And it was something that, was, couldn't make it for, a while. But I was glad that I went through the experience.
Right. You learn to love what you don't like or love about what you love the most,
Exactly.
your mom. And, it's interesting because when we have, these relationships and we realize that we live so much of our lives, I'll be happy when. And when we realize for the sake of what is really that those times that make the difference. So, you were there for the sake, I wanted to make money for the sake of creating financial security for my mom. And, some for me of the happiest moments were being able to provide for my mom everything that she never could provide for herself.
Sure.
Always provided for others.
Yeah.
But for me, what a blessing to live out for the sake of what, as a child, and to honor your mom, to escort her into a higher place, a better place, which eventually you'll be with her.
Yeah,
It's a guarantee.
Right. And I'm a divorce lawyer by 30 years of profession. And
she says that without a blink.
It is what it is at this point.
I love it.
But, all relationships end. The poem, Loved and Lost. I mean, the concept of loving is also the concept of losing.
Mm.
And, you can't love without also understanding that there will be loss in association with loving. And, whether it's divorce or whether it's death, I mean, there is a concept of loss associated with love. And so for me, being there with my mother was kind of that fulfillment of that understanding.
Wow.
That there is a full circle to love. Well, and I live that every day as a divorce lawyer in a very different context.
Sure.
But
much angrier context.
Well, unfortunately, I see the worst side of that. But then to be able to see the other side of that, I don't want to call it a more beautiful side, but in a way it is. It's the more universal or eternal side. I think.
It's an infinite side of it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because a lot of people see that conflict. As a lawyer, knowing so many divorce lawyers, I tell people all the time, my belief is that in all marriages, people in a lifetime are usually married 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just sometimes it's to the same person and sometimes it's not. And it's just because of the maturation of a human being. And so I know my wife and I, we always joke around, we're finally in the good marriage, the third marriage.
Yeah.
It's so much better, definitely than the first one. The middle one got better and better, but this last marriage that we're in, and I'm just glad I'm still married to the same person.
Yeah.
In these marriages. So
I love that. I mean, especially when you think about, the average marriage in the U.S. is 7 years.
That's crazy.
And 50% of first marriages end in divorce. I mean, it's that's a whole different discussion.
It keeps you in business.
Well,
unfortunately, you're in one of those businesses you wish someday that you were out of business.
Well, exactly. If you were talking to somebody that was in a free fall,
yes,
from a personal crisis or a business crisis, what would be your first piece of advice to them about coming from your experience that you've gone through the free fall, you've gone through the crisis, you've gone through the reinvention back to success? what would be your first piece of advice to somebody that was in the process of the free fall?
Ask for help. For me, knowing your who is so important in life. Who you can help, obviously, is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. But knowing people that can help you, finding people in a position or a situation you want to be in and asking them for help. Alongside the saying, you're either humble or about to be, most people don't like to receive or ask for help, especially when they need it. And I think the most valuable lesson in faith and in my life is in that humility of asking for help, of finding people who sit in a situation that I want to be in and asking them for help, comes this great enlightenment and empowerment of not only other people helping me, but understanding the giving loop of that, meaning that when I feel at my highest self is when I'm capable and able of helping other people. And I cheated so many people in my life of the greatest feeling that I had. And I did it subconsciously, maybe even unconsciously. So anybody that's free falling, the best piece of advice that I can give you is ask for help and find people that are in that position that you want to be in and follow the directions they give you to get to where they already are.
Yeah, I think that was another thing that has really impacted me from things that you've said, was that I tend to try to hide the need for help.
Oh,
And I try to always, not need help, always be perfect, portray that and hide my inadequacies. And I think the last time I heard you speak in San Antonio, I actually went home after that and reached out to a couple of girlfriends and said, I need help with this. And I'm trying to be better at admitting when I need help, because I really took to heart when you said that you can't have friends if you don't let them be friends, if you don't let them help you.
yes.
And that I kind of was like, well, maybe that's why I don't feel like I have the friendships that I would want, because I don't let them help me.
In the Polynesian culture, it's called malama. They give love to something so it loves them back. But if you don't accept the love back, then you don't have malama. You don't have that relationship. And we find the shortages, voids, and obstacles and interference in it. So very, very common.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked about our person in a free fall and what we would tell them. So what would you tell them kind of as they're coming back from their free fall? What would be the strategy to rebuild after their setback in their comeback? What's the strategy?
Great clarity on this. And I think a lot of people are lying to themselves. It's very simple. You can't find outside of you what you can't seek inside of you. And so in a pragmatic way, as you're back to a divine direction, you now stabilize the fall, you need to take inventory of self in three different areas. First, your skills. So you need to identify the skills that you have or want to develop. Secondly, knowledge of who, which we always discuss why, and what. What do I actually know and what do I want to know? And then my desire, the common denominator of all successful people, whether it's up, down, sideways, backwards, etc., is a desire that they must be what they can be. And what I would suggest you do is take inventory of the skills, knowledge, and desires that you have and want to develop, align it with what's stable, what's doing well, and what you think is doing well in your divine direction. And when you do that, you will increase the statistical success and the efficiency of getting there. In other words, by paying attention and giving intention to what you're most prepared to do in alignment with where you want to be, you now can accelerate, aggregate, and even compound exponentially the outcomes that you'll receive. And so this inventory is in the idea of no transitions. So I work with a ton of athletes, ton of military people, and they'll come to me and say, can you transition? I'm looking to transition out of the league into entrepreneurship, Dave, or business. I say, well, slow down, bro. There is no transition. There's an expansion of these incredible skills that you have, incredible knowledge that you have, and an incredible desire. You're easy for me. I just got to show you what's doing well, what's stable, and what you think is doing well in the future in alignment with where you think you want to be in business. You already are prepared. instead of thinking of what you don't have, you can't have, and most importantly too, what especially athletes and military people, they have coaches and mentors their entire life.
Right.
And all of a sudden they think they're going to go into business and they tell me, no, man, I don't need any help. I don't need a mentor. I don't need a coach. I'm like, so you've been playing basketball since you were 5. You've never not had a coach since you were 5. Even LeBron James had like 6 coaches.
Right.
Tiger Woods had like 5 coaches. Why do you think that is? Now you're going to go into a whole nother area and you don't need a coach? This is the most ridiculous thing that I see in coaching.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like if I boiled all of that into one word, it's still just an authenticity. It's taking what you already know. It's not a reinvention or it's not a transition. It's just an authenticity and maybe a repackaging.
That's your essence. You know, so many people, especially in the days of content today, I think one of the things that has helped me is I learned just to be at my essence. And when you're at your essence, you realize 10% of the people every time you encounter people are going to love you for your essence. 10% of the people are going to hate you. No matter what you say, do, think, or believe, they're going to hate you because of your essence. And then through repetition, the other 80% start to adapt some sort of like, love, not like or dislike for you. But those two extremes come right off the bat, completely frequency-based, completely essence-based. It's a matter now of, in the world of content, capturing your essence, modifying it for the particular platforms that you want to be on, and then amplifying it to the biggest audience. For me, the strategy is why I'm in Aspire. Bigger stages, bigger people. More people are addressable by being on bigger stages with bigger people.
Right. Which it's like you and I are on a wavelength, or maybe you saw my notes in advance.
I couldn't read your writing if I did.
Well, nobody can read my writing, and I changed completely. I know, right? I am a lawyer, so the writing is the same, but I changed completely my line of thoughts before I started asking you questions. But leading right into my question about stage theory.
Oh,
so I know. See, you just hit me a softball. Awesome. Get seen, get liked, get trusted. Most people stagnate between get liked and get trusted. Why do you think that is?
Because I don't think that they understand what like, trust means. For me, it's understanding what's inside of me and being comfortable knowing that I don't know what other people think. There's the basis of what people's problems are, is they care what other people think, but they don't know. In fact, I challenge you and I to know what we really think, let alone what we think about what we think.
Do you think that's something that comes with age, though? I mean, do you think that's something we gain after 50? Not that I'm 50.
Yeah, I am, and past there. But I think it comes with linear time. Yes, it comes with experience. You can't expect a 17-year-old not to live in a world of, this is what I care about. I care about what people think. This is the whole basis of Kierkegaard and existentialism, of anything that you've studied in the Course in Miracles, or the idea of the Moses Code, I am. So think about that. You can't teach. I was in 11th grade AP English, and they tried to teach me I am. And where I was not in a place to understand what that meant.
Right.
I thought, oh, yeah, of course, I am. I got it. Got me past AP English, but it really didn't get it, because I've been in search of understanding this idea of I am. What am I doing to interfere with it? And through that understanding of true oneness in the universe is a lifetime of research and understanding of, hey, my own condemnation is an attack upon myself that I can't see outside of me. I have a power called commandment. God gave us 10 commandments that means working with God on these things, not demanding it.
Right.
And so for me, I'm commanding my universe by giving meaning. The true, for me, power that God's given me is I give meaning to everything I see. So if I'm worried about what other people think, or I think what they think, and I'm wasting time with the need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, and resentful, all I'm doing is interfering with my potential. And so I want people to truly understand that if we can, as we get older and older, get more comfortable and confident with who we are, I am, we won't let as much of the nonsense, the illusions, interfere with it.
Yeah. I agree with that. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I hate to be repetitive, but it truly is the best piece of advice. Um, it's caught between two. I would say ask for help, but it's really be grateful. I talk about the simple things to do or simple not to do. I know how to change my life and other people's life, and it's simple. It takes 0.1 seconds and it's free. As complex as the studies that I do, and I do a lot of research in physics, quantum physics and metaphysics, spirituality, philosophy, theories. I spend a minimum of an hour a day on these things doing research. It's so funny because I will speak, do interviews, be interviewed, do interviews. And the number one takeaway that people have all the time is, you changed my life. I'm going to say thank you before I go to bed and when I wake up. Everybody agrees how impactful it is. It's free. It takes 0.1 seconds. But yet by the night of all the people listening and watching this, half the people won't say thank you, even though they're shaking their head yes, innately shaking their head. You can't help but shake your head yes at the truth, because the truth vibrates the fastest. So it's going through you and you're like, yeah, if I say thank you before I go to bed and when I wake up, my life's going to change. If I do that every day, I guarantee it's going to change. But by tomorrow morning, half of the half aren't going to say thank you. And by 3 days, almost everyone stops saying thank you. So I tell people, double down on the simple things, whether it's asking for help or saying thank you. Double down knowing the simple things to do or simple not to do. And if you're able and capable of doing it every day, consistently without quitting, in the pursuit of your divine direction, I promise you, it will accelerate, aggregate, and compound exponentially. The outcomes are better that you desire in your life.
And then my final question, we don't any know how much time we're given. And if today were your final day, what would you want your legacy to be known for?
Oh, this chokes me up all the time. Kindness. My favorite quote is, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. If I leave here and just one person says, man, that Dave Meltzer was super kind, then I know that I lived a life at least witnessed by at least one other person that I desired, which was to be kind.
Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you so much.
Vice versa. Anytime.